When you have an amazing building idea, but you don't know where to start, it can be very frustrating and demotivating. But today, I'm going to hopefully help you never experience this again, as I show you how to fully complete a building from start to finish. Watch until the end so you don't miss anything. The first thing you need to do is find the area where you want to construct the building. You can easily do this by watching my video where I tell you how to plan out a city easily and efficiently, and much more important information. You'll find the link to it in the pinned comment. If the building is a high-rise, then you can also watch my video regarding that in the pinned comment too. Once you have found the location for your building, use coloured wools such as orange, purple or lime to plan out the outer walls like shown here. This works for any shaped building. We can plan out the interior later on. When you've got the walls in the right place, figure out the height of the building. The best way of doing this that I find is to use grey and green wool to represent the floors and openings as shown here. I recommend 5-block opening on the first floor with 2 blocks in between, and then 4-block openings for the rest of the floors. Consider setbacks when doing this, although that shouldn't make too much of a difference for now. When the general floor plan is laid out and the correct height is established, you want to create some walls for the structure. Do this by looking at Google Earth for inspiration. Look at designs that you would typically find in the area of your influence and replicate their style. Make a distinct base and then use stackable design for the midsection. Depending on whether the building is attached or not, repeat this process on all sides to create the walls and finish the outer shell of the building. Make sure to use texturing in the walls, and you can do this by finding similar blocks and creating a palette on the ground. Then mix these up all in with another to create some astounding detail. Use stairs and slabs to make intricate shapes such as dormers, and add lots of depth into your windows. This could mean setting them back by 1 or using glass panes instead of full blocks. If there are any setbacks along the way, overcome this by using Weld Edit to copy a section of wall design and paste it up to the new bit. Of course you can create another pattern for this section if you like. Now we must design the parapet or cornice, depending on what type of building it is. These are imperative for weather protection against the sides and for safety because you don't want anyone to fall off your building. To create this, you can sometimes, on larger buildings, stack the previous 1 story higher and take out the interior to leave an open space like shown here. Although there will be no interior as of just yet, but bear this in mind for later. On smaller buildings, a nice hand-built cornice only has to be 2 or 3 blocks high, and must go around the perimeter of the rooftop. Here is a good example of this. We can't have walls without a roof, so use the /fill or semicolon/fill command in Weld Edit to set the deck as your desired material. I recommend using some more texture here, as rainwater would have damaged the appearance of it. When you have done this, using red concrete, place a rectangle roughly in the middle of the floor, where the rooftop access will be, via the shear wall. If your building is particularly tall, then you will need 2 of these for fire safety code. However, it can't just look this bland and boring. We need to add some greenery, but just before that, the people inside will need heating, ventilation and aircon, so we must put these things up here too. When adding greenery, use grass and ferns mixed with flowers of 1 colour, and add a single accent colour to keep it neat and tidy. Now we need to go inside the building and complete the interior. I know that many people never do this and leave hollow buildings, and I understand why, but I can't recommend enough how important the inside of your buildings are. It takes your city to a whole new level. Using the set or fill command again, make the floor your desired pattern. I would advise only using 1 block for this to make it nice and clean. In other words, you won't need any texturing on the ground. If you're stuck for ideas, go for a birch or oak plank. Repeat this for the ceiling, but use a different block. Also, check that it hasn't interfered with the red concrete shear wall that you will have coming down. Once the roof is filled in, add lighting into it. You can add some fancy lights like shown here in Alpine's Soho apartment. Watch that video after this one. Or just do the basic and put lighting in a geometric pattern like shown here. Using light blue wool, create a floor plan leaving spaces for doorways. Don't stack it all the way up though. Use lime wool to represent details such as chairs, beds, counters and etc. You don't have to worry about wall decorations for now. This process means you can leave the interior for now and come back at a later date to finish it. I mentioned about a shear wall earlier, and maybe you don't know what I was referring to. A shear wall is a set of concrete or reinforced concrete walls that surround the staircase and lifts. It is a key structural element for multi-storey buildings, and even smaller ones commonly have them. Just to recap, you will need 2 of them minimum for high-rises. Given this, it is very important that we make them in our own constructions. So if we head over to the red concrete box here, just for this floor you want to replace it with a concrete looking block. For this texture pack, nether brick block suits the best in my opinion. Add openings as shown. On the inside of the walls, add stairs going up to the next floor. Here is an example for you to copy. Make sure it will be stackable. You may also want to add some lighting into the staircase. I do this by placing an end rod just underneath the stairs. When you are fully happy with the first layer of the shear wall, you want to use Weld Edit to stack it up to the top. Just after this, go through and just double check that there is no issues. When it comes to real life, businesses often have to adapt to the space that they are given. That's why I've left this step until the floor plan has been laid out. I have stolen, if you like, this technique from Alpine, but I'm sure he won't mind. Write down your needs and wants for the interior rooms. For example, I may need a mail room, and I also want a lounge. So if there was one spare room, I would know what to put in there. This way, you can prioritise certain types of room, making your builds more realistic. Now you will want to stack the first floor and its contents up by 1, but only 1 floor. This is because you want the interior of the second floor to be a stackable one. After you have done this, we can decorate either floor, but let's go for downstairs interior, as this will be unique compared to the rest. Start by following the light blue lines and filling in the walls to the ceiling. Use the palette strategy here to create lovely and detailed walls. Follow this up by adding wall decorations such as paintings and TVs, etc. Where the lime green wool is, add the details as previously mentioned. Tables, chairs, sofas, and all of these kinds of things work well. Remember to design it based on what purpose the building serves. Oh yes, and don't forget to add a fire exit, as this is required by law in almost every country. For the second floor, you will want to repeat these steps. However, you may want it to be different from the ground floor, as you may have a reception down there and apartments above. In this case, you can replace the wool and then create the details afterwards. Either way, you now want to finish the interior for the second floor. Skip back a couple of minutes if you forgot how to do it. When this is completed, you will want to go through and check that everything is okay to stack, and once you are sure, then go for it. Stack this floor all the way to the top and everything should, in theory, line up perfectly. Now of course this isn't always the case, and sometimes there can be misalignments. A common mishap that I see is when the stairs in the shear wall don't line up correctly, but you can easily fix this with an undo. Eventually, all should be pristine, and there we have it, a fully finished and furnished building from start to finish. If you did enjoy, please subscribe and like the video, as it would help so much. Anyways, see you all later.